good morning. It's the next day. Beautiful, beautiful sunny day out today. It snowed a little bit last night, but it's already all melted with the sun being out. So what do you guys feel like doing today? What should we do? Oh, this, right. You're probably right. I did manage to get the unobtainium gasket. Nowhere in town stocked this. Not even Subaru, which, I don't know, lately I guess it's an old car now. It's 20 years old. They don't stock the older parts as much as anymore. But the Felpro kit came with this, which, it's missing all the top goodies. So, useless. Well, maybe not useless. I'll keep it around in case we get a different one day that doesn't have that. This is an aftermarket Federal Mogul part. 61360 if anybody needs that. I did clean out the throttle body last time. She's shiny. Ready for reassembly with the gasket. It all still looks good. I blew everything out, and you remember last time we rebuilt the, what did we rebuild? We rebuilt this, the idle control valve, which just, you can see the port down in there. It just lets some air in there through this connection to control the idle airspeed. It's nice and clean in there. Yeah, you know, well, whatever. Also on today's menu, if that coffee didn't do the trick, we've got a nice PCV / carb cleaner energy drink right here. I'm sure it's going to be delicious. It looks like it shined up that part pretty good in there. So we'll get this out of here, get it blown out and dried out, retest it. Because I did find that it wasn't sealing. These have a check valve in them to allow vacuum in, but pressure not to come out. So it wasn't doing that job. So we'll retest it here with a very sophisticated piece of equipment. And then let's get this ring throttle body on the engine already. And I think today we're going to be able to fire this thing up, or at least attempt to. There's honestly not a giant pile left on the table behind me here. Mostly accessories and fans and the intake stuff. Of course, the alternator. We got to hook up the AC compressor or finish that. We've got most of it on. Power steering pump. Okay, it sounds like a big list, but honestly, it's going to go pretty quick. So let's get rolling. I think all those years of playing that little magnetic fish game at the fair, you know, where you have the little fishing pole with a little magnet hanging off and you're supposed to catch all those fish out of the water when it goes around at the fair. This is what that prepares you for, fellas. Eh? Level expert right there. 20 bucks a fishing session pays off. That came out pretty clean. A little bit of rust coming out. Wow, sounds like a little air-powered machine gun. Sounds a lot freer. So you should be able to blow through it this way. This is that sophisticated piece of test machinery I was talking about, by the way. And I can't suck anything out of it at all. Perfect. I probably could have just bought a new one of these, but there was none in stock I could find in my area, and I figured most of the time you just clean them out anyways and they're like new. So we just saved probably $9, who knows. There's better things to spend that $9 on. All right, it's gonna set this aside. It's gonna go back into the intake here in a bit. I'll see if I can get you guys in a little closer to the engine. All right, PCV valve, engage. There's a 19mm deep socket to get that guy in there. There we are. And you remember we had this hose tree. We transplanted a new trunk on there. Get him down onto there. That end onto the PCV. Lovely. The other one goes onto the throttle body. There. Okay, we just need some pliers to be able to get those back on. Or if you have hands of steel like I do, you don't even need the pliers. They just, you know, they help. Okay, now we got to get the bottom clamp on. For that I need something a little longer. Well, after much monkeying around, we got it. Yeah, that's gonna fit just perfect. Just looking up the torque spec for the throttle body. That's the gasket we were missing. And see, it's got a star. That means it's made of unobtainium and you can't find it anywhere. 13.7 foot-pounds is what we need for the intake throttle body. Bolts, so yeah. Also, spent a ridiculous amount of time looking for the missing bolts to attach the throttle body. Turns out someone put them in this little intake nest. So that makes sense. All right. We've got our lovely gasket. We've got our throttle body, and to get this on here, there's 3 hoses. Here, here, and here we got to, here, and here at the back that we got to connect at the same time. So I'm guessing probably start with the bottom ones, slide them on, and then get the top one on. Yeah, plan. So I think this wiring harness wants to be over here. Maybe. No, whatever. We can reroute that later. Oh, my fingers of steel let me down. And they still make pliers for this job. There we go. You at the bottom, you're next. Okay. And then the one at the top. But that's a vacuum line. I think we're going to put that one on after, so we can get access to get this gasket on here properly. Like so. Then we lost the gasket. Hang them on a couple bolts. Let's try that. Okay. Looking good. Let's get a little extension on there. Uh-huh. Okay, connectors. Click, click. And we gotta remember to get this vacuum line on. Come on, baby. Roar. There we go. Okay. I better verify where this line goes before I get carried away here. And we can't connect it somewhere where it needs to be. I honestly don't remember where that went. I should probably figure that out. I've got a few lines here. I think it goes to the airbox, but it's also this one. We need to take a look and make sure we don't forget something. We got lines everywhere now. One of them went here. I think that's this one. Okay, short break. Coffee's just calling my name. Okay, so I've just got the airbox in here temporarily and realized I had to flip that one hose 90 degrees because it connects to the bottom of the airbox here, which I should have realized. So I just removed one of the clamps there, or loosened it rather, and then got this hose pointing the right direction. This one connects to the bottom here on the airbox. The brake booster, of course, goes to the intake vacuum right there to that port. And this hose we had hanging out here goes to the other, sorry, you can't see that, it goes to the other bottom of the airbox here. So all hoses accounted for, all connection points accounted for. Let's just get him out of the way. And I realized we should probably put this other bracket in place. This guy needs to bolt up in here. So that gives us the other connection point later for the airbox. This one here, I think I have to spin a little bit. It doesn't look like it's pointed the right direction. But we don't want to put the airbox on just yet. I'll get that bracket on, and then I think we're going to hook up some fuel lines over here. Yeah. Ta-da! Okay, fuel lines. red goes up here. I marked that one. And the others are two different sizes, so simple enough. That one's going to go down at the bottom. We'll rotate this clamp somewhere like this. Fills lips. Oh man. Okay. All it needs a little tiny bit of silicone lubricant. And by tiny bit I mean let's just spray it everywhere, make a mess. That's perfect. There we go. Okay. I think I'd like to get the throttle cables hooked back up now. Okay, we're throttling. So far so good. Okay. Ta-da. Where do you go? Anybody know? I guess we should figure this out before we get carried away here. Lovely. Oh. Dummy, that's the washer line. It's not a vacuum line at all. Losing it, slowly losing it, guys. Just looking over everything, see what we're forgetting. This is also all washer pump stuff and battery connections. We're all good there. Think we're ready to get the power steering pump and this bracketry on the front of the engine back on, actually. Okay, I'd like to get this power steering pump put back on, but if you guys remember this, yeah, that was broken off. That wire is supposed to go to the pressure switch here, the bottom of the pump unit. So I'm going to take this connector off, get the soldering iron heated up. We'll clean this point up and we'll see if we can solder it back on. Okay. Some heat shrink tubing to prepare for when we get this back on there. Toasty hot soldering iron. Solder, I'm going to tin the end first. And we'll see if we can get some solder on the end of this connector. I have to get this nice and hot. And we'll see if we can get the end in here. Okay. What do you think? Good? I think so. The regular heat shrink first. And then the adhesive one over top. Just to make sure everything stays watertight. There we go. Fixed. All right, that's done. So let's get these bolts out of here so we can get this power steering pump in here. Nope. Sorry, half the chask is just swapping extensions. We've got our tensioner here. Well, I wonder if we should probably put the alternator in first, actually. Yeah. Don't forget to plug in our brand new repaired harness. Click, click. Wonderbar. Okay. I did want to clean up these connections on the alternator because they're a little greenish. I'm going to quickly go do that. Okay, just went ahead and filed the contacts a little bit with a mini file and sprayed our contact cleaner in there. Okay, there we go. So there's this captive nut bracket here that's got to go in behind here still. Like so. And then this bolt you just saw me remove here goes through this tensioner bracket here and into the alternator. Right there. Okay. We want to keep both these loose so we can get the belt tensioned before we tighten those up. Right. Do we put the belt on next? I guess we could. Belts. No, we can't actually. That step we skipped is next, in fact. Sorry, after a couple brain farts. Ta-da! Boy, are we getting close now. These belts are still in great shape. Still got all the writing on them even, so we're gonna go ahead and get these on next while we got all this room. The smaller one is the air conditioning one with the less ribs. So it lines up like so. And then we can adjust it. No, we can't. We lost our extension. Never mind. We can adjust it. Long extension on the bolt. Just wind it down. And I actually need to get the other belt on to get this alternator slightly out of our way because it's sitting on the belt. Okay. And here's the tension adjustment for that belt, of course. Okay, here's our belt tensions we're shooting for, A and B. So if you're reusing the belt, the front belt for the power steering should be 9 to 11 millimeters of deflection with 22 pounds of force on it. And the other one is 9 to 10. So if we shoot for about 10 millimeters with 22 pounds on each belt in those two locations, we should be good. If you can't remember what 10 millimeters looks like, get your spanner out. So we're way too much there still. Not enough yet. All I'm doing is putting my wrench, laying it on the belt, holding it onto something stationary, and then pushing down the belt to see if I can hit the other side of the wrench. We're about right on that one. Hey, we're pretty close there. So now we can lock down the tension adjusters with their 2 lock nuts. And don't forget the main bracket on the alternator. Ta-da! I think before we get to putting this cover on, we should go ahead and hook up the stuff on the radiator, so the cooling fans and the hoses. Okay, let's shimmy sham these in here. Let's get this guy in first in case we have troubles clearing this. Careful. Careful. Oh, come on. Where's your little locating pin? Come on, little buddy. You know you want to go in there. You know you want to go home. Ah, there you go. Okay. These are the pins I'm trying to line up here at the bottom. They go into some slots at the bottom of the radiator. Beauty. One radiator hose. Viola. Now I've got to go underneath and hook up the bottom rad hose over in this corner and plug in the 2 fan electrical connectors. I'll show you guys up here, but I'm not going to take you down there. There's that one connector hanging out down there, right about there, and the other one for the fan down here, and then the lower rad hose there. I'll just go pop those on real quick and come back. Okay, let's get some spark plugs in this thing. So there's a list of acceptable spark plugs in the manual, in the service manual. I got the NGKs, so 6KR, BKR 6E-11s, part 2756, and recommended gap between 39 and 43 thousandths of an inch. So I checked what these ones are set to, because they should be pre-gapped, and we are at 0.40, which is within the range. So I'm going to check all 4 of these, and then we'll get them installed. The recommended torque, 15 foot-pounds. And If you don't have a torque wrench, until gasket contacts the cylinder head, then a further quarter to half a turn. That'll get you pretty close. And it says in the service manual, make sure you don't forget this gasket. And there's the gasket. So that's what we're crushing to get the torque value. All right, let me check the rest of these. All right, let me check the rest of these and we'll pop them in. Okay, spark plugs. Let's get them in here. Shorter extension on this side. Someone lost it. Forgot I had bought this thing, which is also magnetic. Best tool ever. Okay, time for some ignition wires. And these are in great shape. They're aftermarket NGKs, so I'm going to reuse them. You'll notice two of them are shorter. It's the bank with cylinders 1 and 3, simply because the coil is closer to this side. So let's go ahead and route these in here. And mine are labeled, so I'm of course going to put them in the right places. This is cylinder number 3. So let's get these fished in here. Okay, coolant overflow bottle. Second thought, I'm gonna go rinse this thing out. I'll be back. Okay, coolant overflow bottle cleaned out. Oh no, failed me again. Fingers of steel. There we are. Now what? I guess this. Ah, of course. It goes under there. Don't forget that, fellas. We're close. We just got to hook up the alternator electrically, and then the stuff at the back of the engine, the airbox. Very close. Seems like this bracket's bent a little bit, actually. Yeah, I'm going to straighten this out a bit. Otherwise it's going to hit this belt. We do not want that. Much better. Now this lines up better too. There is supposed to be a plastic cover over this too that bolts on here, but I don't seem to have that. I don't think it's a case of it turning up later, it just doesn't exist. Okay. That's fine. Don't put your fingers in here. fuel bed here. There we go. So poor electrical connections are a cause of so many issues. So just, you know, there's always enough time to just give those a clean up. Oops, not the right one. Mini update. I quickly installed that thing off camera because, well, it had decided to relieve itself all over my table. I guess it had to make a pee-pee, so didn't really want to wait and have that spill the rest of its pee-pee out, and so I quickly put it in there and hooked the lines up, because who wants that? We only have the airbox left and the snorkel for the airbox, so I'm going to get this hooked up next, and we should be ready to put some fluids in this baby. Yeah! So that one line over here, these two lines over here, and then of course the throttle body connection. Actually, ugh. Genuine Subaru filter from, I don't remember when I changed it last, I'm guessing. I don't know what that date code means. 09? Or is it just a serial number? Ugh. That hasn't been changed in a coon's age. Okay, we need to wash this thing out. Sorry guys, small delay here. Don't forget to check the air filter, guys. Shiny new one. Well, I'm kind of glad we looked in there. What about you guys? Okay. So yes, this will need to rotate. Not even right. I think it goes the other way. Okay, one hose connected. This one is going out underneath here. Two hoses. Remember, we had three. Great idea to count all the connections before you put something in place and can't find them all. With that, guys and girls, we are ready for some fluids. See if she'll actually crank over. More importantly, if it's going to be a smoker or if we've reformed it. I hope so. If you guys don't have one of these yet, coolant fill kit, get yourself one before you do another car. It is so worth it. Choose the correct adapter. Put the little imitation cap on and there. This plugs in here. That plugs it afterwards. So once you're filled, you insert the stopper. You can pull this out. No, yeah, you can pull it out. Pull this out, put it in the bottle, drain the rest right back into the bottle. Amazing. What a concept. Quick check for leaks. Nothing yet. So I know I wowed you guys with this funnel, which to me is a smart system, a smart funnel if you will. Then you've got this. It's labeled as the smart funnel, heavy duty, spill proof, but I cannot for the life of me determine what makes this smart. I haven't asked any intelligent questions for testing this, but that is smart. This, it's just a funnel. I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. If you guys know what they're talking about, please feel free to enlighten me. I mean, that doesn't screw in there. Does this? Does this screw into there and make life easier? Let's try the extension. It's just not smart. I don't know what they were thinking. Really branded incorrectly. Yeah, nothing smart about this thing. Don't let it fool you guys. Okay, so we should have about 4 liter capacity here, and this thing's 5, so let's start out with, I don't know, a good chunk of this. It does have a strainer in the bottom. Maybe it's smart because it only lets what you're pouring in through and the strainer catches what you didn't mean to put in there. That is smart. Here's our 2 lines, empty and full. What do we got? Right at the full line. I don't like how the dipstick sealing, this O-ring here is shot. I'm going to see if there was one in the kit that would work. Otherwise, maybe in my assorted O-rings. Go have a hunt. Well, we've got a couple of likely candidates in our assorted O-ring collection. The gasket kit came with new seals for the tube, the dipstick tube, but not for the stick. Oh, well, that's like hard as plastic. one too big? Maybe not. Fits there, but does it fit in the tube? Too fat. Well, these guys likely not fat enough, huh? Maybe. Ah, that actually worked. Perfect. Well, I'm going to connect our battery jumper pack up here, and we'll should be ready. Well, thanks for your service, Smart Funnel, but you're anything but smart. Now the oil's stuck on the bottom of this thing. Now, the nice thing about this method is we got a nice battery kill switch right here now, which is perfect, because we might need it, who knows. I think we're ready to... Good Lord, are we? No guts, no glory. Energize. Okay, power's on. I'm going to take you guys back here and let's see what happens. Okay. Well, she sounds smooth. It sounds amazing, actually. Let's go take a look at the exhaust. So now we're gonna expect a bunch of smoke and steam just because of what I threw in the cylinders, and there's still probably lots of moisture in the exhaust, but check it out. We're gonna let this thing come up to temperature, and then we'll get the air burped out. There's see bubbles coming out now, and once it's up to temperature, we'll shut her down, check all our fluids again, and see if the exhaust clears up a bit. Nothing registering on the temp gauge right now, of course. Could we really have a full tank of gas? Good Lord, we scored there. Idle seems okay. I think we should turn the wheel a bit, just to remember we messed with the power steering. Full lock to lock a couple turns, just to get any air out of that steering. Idle speed's coming down a bit, sounding better. So at this point we've got more smoke under the engine here than we do out back, which is great. We've got all kinds of stuff burning off on the exhaust, because remember, this thing light oil leaks everywhere, so coolant fans just came on. We'll give it a little bit more gas. So we got warm air coming out of the vents inside the cabin, so it is warming up. We're heading towards the right direction of temperature anyways, and smoke everywhere, so well, I'm going to let this burn off, come up to temperature. I'll bring you guys back. Okay, first small problem. This clamp here, I guess the washer snapped and busted out of there, so I opened the clamp all the way. It was dripping out of this end of the hose and coolant was coming out, so I just installed a little washer there, tightened it back up, and it seems to be okay. Oil is just below full. Coolant's still burping. Our steering is good still. Okay, I'm gonna fire her back up. Still do a bit of burping going on the antifreeze. We are steaming out of the fluid though, so rad's hot. It's definitely circulating now. It means the thermostat's open. The idle's calmed right down. Pumps are sounding really good. I know you guys are all curious about what's coming out of the tailpipe, and so am I. Let's go take a look. Okay. Cleared up significantly so far. So keep in mind it snowed here today, and it's right around freezing point. So some of that is going to just be steam and condensation too. So, and it still hasn't really ran for long enough to burn off anything in the exhaust. So we'll keep this going, run until it's up to temp, and make sure it doesn't overheat for some reason, and then we'll pull it out and take it for a spin. Everything's calmed right down on it, including the idle. And remember, we screwed around with that idle air control valve. It was plugged and the PCV was not working, so it probably had to relearn all its idles which it seems to have done now that it's up to temperature. It's calmed right down, smoothed right out. So I'll let this run for another maybe 20 minutes. We're still getting a little bit of air coming out in the funnel, and once that bubbling is stopped in the funnel and we discovered it hasn't overheated, then I'll take you guys for a ride. Promise. Okay, some time has passed. Our coolant's at a steady level, no more bubbles, so we put in our plunger. Remove our coolant funnel and dump it into the overflow tank. Tiny bit of coolant. Ta-da! Wonderful. I'm just going to top up the coolant level on this side in the overflow tank. There we are. Okay, well, as you can see, I'm in the driver's seat, so things went well. So let's give her the old college try. Lights. Ooh. Oh, e-brake works. Oh, 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 oh. Brakes are a little rusty. They have some rust on them for sure. And yes, the hood's not latched, so we can't go far here. We're just trying to see what it'll do with a little load on it before we spend more money on this thing. Okay. It's got good power. We're just going to go to the, well, let's just do the circle around the yard. Not the yard, the neighborhood. Yes, I know my hood's open, thank you. Well, she runs much, much smoother than before. Much smoother. Brakes feel good other than the grinding because of the rust on there. Thanks, buddy. See, we got a turn signal. What a beaut. Now what I'm going to do is pull into the garage backwards so we can see what's coming out of the smokestack. Or what isn't. Well, what are you gonna tell us? Oh, guys, check it out. I know it's hard to believe, but it's running and it's not filling my garage full of smoke whatsoever. So you know what that means? It means more work for us, because the boots on the CV axles are both ripped from oil dripping on them for years, making them all mushy. Same with the steering rack, it's got 2 torn boots, so more work for us. I've got new boots, and I've got 2 new CV axles, so I think I'm going to go grab a proper battery for this thing and install it so we can move the car around properly without the hood ajar. Then we'll go swap some front end parts, but first I need to clean up that mess and this table, give us more room. Oh, and we still have to put this one nut on, remember? The back underneath. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the shop, grab a battery, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Okay, so we've had this running out in the driveway for about 2.5 hours, just idling away, steady temperature on the gauge. So now I just want to double check that all the fluids are playing nice together. They're remaining in their designated areas under the hood here where they are supposed to be. They're not straying outside of their playpens. And if that's all good, then I'm gonna go take it for a spin. I did get some plates for it, so road test is next. Let's take a look. So I did shine up a few things under here as well while I was waiting for things to warm up and stuff. So, radiator fluid. Nice and green, no contamination in there, that's good. And oil. No foam in the cap. No milkshake there. Let's check on the dipstick. See how we did. Nice and clean. And we're at the same level where I left it, about halfway. So that is also good. Coolant bottle is midway between high and low, which is okay because the engine's cool right now. We'll check it after we drive it and it expands for a bit more too. Yeah, so far looking good, guys. I'll throw some plates on and take it for a spin. Okay, just did about 60K worth of driving with this super duper automobile, and no real problems to report. Some minor annoyances I found that I'll talk about on the next video, but for now, the only problem, not really even a problem, the only thing I found was once I started going up a steep hill for a few miles, at the top I stopped and it smelled like smoke, but it wasn't coming out of the exhaust, thankfully. It was just coming out from under the hood, so it's still just a bunch of crap burning off. It was a minefield of grease and oil from all the leaks before I sealed the engine up, so that's going to take a while to burn off. I probably should have pressure washed everything out from under there, but it was in the garage, wasn't movable easily, so I took a shortcut, okay? Can I say? I should have pressure washed it out. would have helped a lot with this, but it'll eventually burn off. So the plan is to take it for a few more rips and make sure all that's good before we sell it, of course. But for now, I'm happy with it. Thanks so much for watching. And on the next one, I'll go over what I'm going to do before it's ready for the sales block. So thanks very much. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Good night.